Tameem Sankari, co-founder of Outlanders, and I'm the design director and the creative head in the studio. Outlanders is all about branding and graphic design services in general.
My name is Anja Dalby. I am Danish, but have spent the majority of my life as an expat. And during that expat life, I worked in marketing and sort of drifted over to creative writing. And then I'm one of the co-founders of Outlanders as well. So we decided to start Outlanders to do things a little bit differently. There's a lot of agency habits that have sort of become outdated that we wanted to change. So it's a very much I guess you could say it's a rebel project in the sense that we wanted to change the way that agencies work. We wanted to change the way that they communicate with their clients. So that's basically the starting point of it. And it's been going very quickly forward ever since then. We're still a young agency. We only started about a year and a half ago. We started in Dubai and now we have just opened our branch in Copenhagen where we are now. We are very much focused on creative coding, digital, everything basically.
So there was kind of a gap between agencies and client, specifically when it comes to branding. And on the top of that, we wanted to approach the design thinking differently. We wanted to work on timeless design rather than following specific trends and stick to it. So it's kind of like trend setting at the same time is like creating timeless pieces without wasting, as Anya mentioned, without wasting the client time and efforts. I've been exposed because I've been in the industry for around 20 years in advertising and branding mixed. So I'm a designer to start with. Beyond being in advertising world, I'm a designer to start with. And I've seen a lot of documents and submissions toward that has been sent to clients. And all of these documents, it's kind of like there is a lot of fillers in the documents and the approach and the ideas behind it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not really good on bar. But studios and design agencies try to kind of justify their time and their price by having more and more information in documents that can be not useful really to some of the clients. So we said like, okay, let's eliminate all of this BS, I would say, and then get straight to the point. Of course, we always start with our strategy thinking, and then we jump into the design thinking behind our projects. On the top of that, we added like a bit of flair, like a new tech and new kind of tool that has been existed in the 50s actually, which is the coding, using code to create design and motion design and even print. So we, because there are, it's not a lot of people working with this at the moment, especially when it comes to agencies and design studios. There are a few. But I think it's something like really important to include in the DNA of any studios or any agency, especially when it comes to design and branding, because it has a huge potential of saving time and create something that really different, something like out of this world, I would say. Like it's trendy, but it's not the trend. It's actually setting a new trend, setting a new method, setting a new aesthetics when it comes to design and approaching a design project from different perspective. I'm quite like from the older generation where I grew up with Atari games. Even the first computer I had from with my brothers, I remember it's called, it's very old one. I forgot even the name of it. It was like just a dongle and like very primitive computer where they make chips, I think, right now. But then at the same time, I was 5 years, as far as I can remember, I was 5 years old when I was playing with Atari games back then. And then, I mean, year after year, like the technology developed, the new computer has been integrated in our life. DOS system is like one of the things that I grew up with, basically. And my brother was a programmer, so he introduced me to all of this computer things, I would say, back then. So when I got the chance, it's kind of like it stick with you, like all of this game and the retro gaming and the aesthetics. It's kind of like stick in your in your head, in the back of your head, and without feeling it. Like when I start with creative coding, it was a very fun journey, I would say. I start working with different styles, and then eventually I got into like what people consider like it's retro graphics or retro aesthetics or low tech. And the reason why I work with such graphics it's kind of like I'm always trying to bring novelty to something that everyone knows, to the mainstream. Like, how can I take something which is really mainstream and really cliche, I would say, and then add novelty to that? The use of the particular pixels or the graphics it's something that developed with time as I'm working with creative coding, because I think like when I started with it, it started as a hobby, and from the hobby, like, oh, that's programming or computing graphics, it became something really, really interesting for me. And then I couldn't stop doing these things, repeating time after time after time the same kind of graphics but in a different way. And there is a kind of a value in it. I find it charming, like when you mix the new technology with the old historical things, because I think now we're living in the era with the AI is just there, and I don't know, everyone's talking about the AI and the new technology of creating graphics and things. But I still like the low-tech technology, which is I'm using like really small little program for free with code processing, and it's an amazing. It's nothing. It's just a white screen, and basically you work with this white screen and you design with numbers and plus and minus and things like that, which is a completely different approach. I mean, after 20 years of working with regular programs like any designers worked with, then I opened this processing window and it's a white screen. There is no tools. There is nothing in it. You just need to write what you want to design. So that brought me to another way, or changed the way that I think about design, or I think about graphics in particular. And it led to something else, because there is always an element of surprise when you work with programming. You don't know what, you cannot expect 100% what you're going to see as an output. After you run the code, then you see something happening and, oh, that's really cool. That's something different that I can use, or I can express myself, or express a project, work on project, or creating grid system or whatever for a client. So the potential of using it became like really big, and I think we still exploring it, because it's really hard to communicate to the client. The fact is this is code, and using the code we can create multiple things with very little effort and in very little time. When we approach design projects, any design project, from branding point of view, or from design like packaging or what have you, there is one point that we mentioned, I think earlier, is like being or making it timeless. First of all, making it timeless. So we always, me and Anja, I think we grew up in an era where art is something. For us, it wasn't like you're not exposed to internet. You go out and experience art. And I think what's missing in all of this, or in most of what we see when it comes to branding and design, is the artistic touch, but it's very fine or very sensitive topic to talk about, because when you talk about design has it on its own rule, and it's not for the viewer to interpret to just think about like, oh, what this design means. It's when it comes to branding and design for client, I think it's the issue is like you need to inject in elements or things that work with the client on marketing level. So when you choose a color, it's not because I like it, it's because it fits with our strategy for this particular client or for this particular piece. So bringing art into that, it's kind of like, this is where you need to create the balance. So I don't want the design to be mechanical, I would say. I don't want it to be very rigid when it comes for the person who's viewing it, like it's okay, it's just a design, it's just a pack on the shelf, or just a logo on the wall or whatever. It's like adding value. I think that we kind of like agreed on something, me and Anja, from the beginning. It's like we wanted to add value to the culture of design, because I think it's on us, the designers, it's on us to kind of like raise the bar or the artistic value of the design or the product that we put outside. It's not only me, it's every single designers. I think it's like we reach to a point where we have seen things that it's repeating itself from place to place, from agency to agency, from product to product, from brand to brand. It's the same thing always happening again and again and again. So it's like finding the balance between making a piece which is timeless, on a strategy, like spot on strategy, which fits with the client needs and the client target audience, at the same time have this artistic touch.
If I can add to that, what Tameem was saying about injecting ourselves and making it very much Outlanders in each project. We say no to a lot of inquiries, because we want to make sure that we only take on projects that are truly, we want to have fun with what we do. That's the most important thing. We have to have fun. We have to like what the client is doing. We have some very strict rules, like they have to be an ethical company, otherwise we won't work with them. For example, you will never see Outlanders do branding for factory farming or anything like that. And also we need to be able to go in and see, okay, what can we actually do for this client? Can we actually do something wonderful? Is this going to be like a really, really great end result? Because if we can't see the end result being something really great, something really outlanderish, if I may use that term, then we just don't accept it.
We consider our awards as when we see the client is really proud of what he has or what he got. And actually our awards is like, we need to feel proud of what we do. It's not BS, it's something that what Anja mentioned, like we don't take any project, oh, can you do this, can you do that? No, I'm not doing that. I need to have fun with my work personally. And it's challenging, of course, in these days, but I think if we stick to it, surely, slowly but surely, you will get somewhere eventually when you care about actually the quality of work. So this is our philosophy, I think, if you are to call it philosophy in our DNA, I would say, and we always trying to stick to it whenever we can. Yeah. I would say it's like beyond the usual. So the usual is a company wants some branding and all of this. No, our dreams is to work beyond that. Like, how can we integrate our design in architects? I would say an architect project in the facade of a building. It's not about print, it's about like, how can we push the limits of the design to go beyond just the usual that we work with? How can we integrate our work and our design, and I would say like in fashion shows? Like, how can the work of branding or integrating the technology of creative coding into fashion, into architects, into anything. I mean, you name it, even sculpture. I would like to see more work from us. Like, this is our plan. Like, how can we push the limits to work beyond the usual, from my point of view?